In this series, I'm going to be building an electric guitar for a talented young musician. Now, he's come up with a fantastic design, so all I have to do is build it. It's going to be exciting, it's going to be challenging. I do hope you'll join me. Hello everybody. Well, it seems that summer's here, at least for a couple of days, and I've got my shorts on. And in this episode, I want to crack on with this fretboard. I want to get it cut to size, radiused, the CA glue put on the top, and then stuck on the neck. So let's get going. I've double checked all the fret positions down the whole length of the fretboard. I've also now marked up the width of the fretboard, allowing for the fact that I'm going to add some binding on the side. So now I'm going to need to cut this off, get it to size. That was incredibly hard to see the pencil line and the knife line that I've put in this fretboard, so I went over it with some China graph, which is a big fat pencil, so I've got to take quite a bit off. And for that, I think I need to make myself a new shooting board. Right, well, some scraps of wood and a cup of tea later, and I've got myself a shooting board for the fretboard. I don't know why I didn't think of doing this in the past. Normally I put it in the vise and just plane it, but it's a lot easier to see where you've got to go to when it's flat down like this. I've just screwed this piece of waste wood here just to hold the fretboard in place, but otherwise I think it's doing the job. So let's crack on. I'm nearly there at that end. I've just got to deal with this end. Okay, I've taken this down to size now, so I've got just over 1 millimetre on each side to put the binding on. I've got an idea for the binding. I like what I did on my bass guitar, so you've got a nice dark fretboard and a dark neck with a nice light wood binding on it, and I think that's going to work really well on this guitar. Now my next job with this fretboard, before I put the binding on, is to radius it, and I'll do it with my radiusing block, and this is one that I've made and it's set to 14 inches. I've adjusted it, and I'll put a link in the description to the video where I make these adjustable fret radiusing blocks. It's really easy to make. Anyway, before I do that though, I have an idea. I really like the way that this worked, but what I didn't like is having to screw it down all the time. And got a couple of bolts here. All I need is a couple of slots, and I'm going to have an adjustable fence, which I think is going to be really useful. So I've got to get on and do that. Well, no, it's taken a few minutes, but in my usual bodge style, I have now a fence on this device that will hold the piece of work in position, and when I flip it over, all I need to do is to adjust the position of the fence like so and tighten it down, and that's all ready to go. So this will be great for fretboards in the future. And these bolts are just super glued into holes at the bottom there. Anyway, it's late in the day. I think it's time for some dinner. I've sanded that down to a 14-inch radius. And I've also taken it down to 320, so got it nice and smooth. Before I do anything, I'm now going to just seal it all with some CA glue, just to get any of those splinters sealed down. It's time to cut the fret slots, and I'm doing that with this fixture that I've got. Basically, I've got the fretboard mounted onto a piece of wood here, and this will slide along, and underneath this wood is a little pin that will go into little slots or little holes that I've drilled all the way along in this aluminium strip, and that will give me the right spacing between the frets. So I've set this fretting saw here to just over 3mm deep, and it's just a question of well, cutting the slots. And this little fence here just stops it going too deep. So well, that's one done. I've just got another 23 to do, so I shall get on and do that. So now I have all the frets cut. That's 24 frets. Need polishing up a bit more, and need to get the binding on it, but yeah, making some progress with that. Okay, well, I've glued the binding on. I just hold it on with masking tape, and it's really warm at the moment, so the glue is drying really quickly, which is really good. I need to cut the fretboard to size, but before I do that, I'm going to stick on the veneer on the headstock, and that will tell me where I need to cut the fretboard. I've cut a hole so I can access the truss rod, so that's okay. I'm just thinking it might be nice to put a piece of this dark grey veneer underneath the headstock veneer, just to get a nice line, because I don't intend to bind that headstock. I think that might look really nice, so let's cut that out. I'm going to glue the veneer on first using this veneer clamp. I'll just put some wax on the base here. Get the glue out. Then I'm just going to put the top on, the washers, and tighten it down. Get the wing nuts on. Okay, well, I'm starting to see the neck coming together now. This binding has got to be much thinner, so the neck's got to go down about 1mm on each side, and that will be done in the shaping. But otherwise I've got this end sorted out. I need to cut this end just a little bit beyond the 24th fret. Now there are 24 frets on this guitar, so the fretboard butts right up to the pickup there, and the neck is going to have to continue on a bit to give strength, but he's going to continue on underneath the pickup. So I've measured that out, and I can get away with about 15mm. Now the screws are slightly longer, but I think we can sort that out as a slightly different way. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I've marked up the end of the neck here. I'm going to slice that little chunk out. I'm also going to take a little bit off the bottom because this is a bit too deep. It needs to be 34mm deep. Okay, I've done some rough shaping on the back of the neck and on the little tag there that's going to go underneath the pickup. So I think the next stage is for me to glue the fretboard on. I've already glued in the truss rod. I don't always glue them in, but I don't want it to rattle, so that's nice and tight. So I'm just going to sand that down a little bit just to make sure it's clean. Get that sanded at the back and get that stuck on. Well, it's a bit belt and braces, but I've clamped that all down. I think it's looking pretty good. So let's leave this to cure and see what it looks like. Well, I've done quite a bit of sanding this afternoon and the fretboard is looking nice. I've actually put some oil on it just to protect it, but it's nice and level. So that's coming on. I've got to shape the back of the neck now, but I'm going to leave that to the next video. I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all your comments. I enjoy reading them. And well, I'll see you soon. In the meantime, stay safe. Cheers.